Primary oil change on your Harley Davidson M8 Softail. 15,000 miles for me. Catch you inside.
RevelatorAlf.
Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well in these testing times. Now this video is all about changing your primary oil on your M8 Softail, and basically I've gone with the Harley Davidson Formula Plus. That's what it's always had. Look, it's not something that I'm saying you have to have it. I'm just saying that's what I had in workshops. That's what I'm putting in. Next time around I'll probably put something else in, but basically just get some transmission and primary fluid for your bike, and that's what you need to put in there. Right, so a couple of things you need to do first of all is just take your bike out for a little ride, or just have it idling for a few minutes, 20 minutes, something like that, just to get everything warmed up. That's not only engine oil but also the primary fluid and the transmission fluid as well, if you're going to do that change, but that'll be for another video. The next thing you need to do is then get something to collect your oil at the bottom. Here at the bottom of the primary case, and there's the drain plug there, and that's a 5/8 socket that you'll need for that as well. The book would say actually just warm everything up, have the bike level, because you really need the bike level, and I use a block of wood for all my servicing on the bike, whether it's oil change, transmission or primary fluid changes, and it's on the level. One of the biggest issues about primary fluid when people come to refill it, they overfill it or underfill it because they haven't got the bike level. It's either canted left or right, you see, on the side stand, let's say. So just have it on the level. Now before taking the drain plug out, you might want to consider taking off the clutch inspection cover here, or the derby cover here, and just have a look at what the fluid level is. Now basically what you want is the fluid to be just at the bottom of the clutch pressure plate, and I'll show you what that is, but it'd be interesting for your own information to see actually what your fluid level is. The other thing is that some people often remark on is how hot the primary case gets. Well, a lot of that heat isn't derived from the primary itself, because that's just oil sloshing around in the chain and the compensator and up the clutch as well. All that heat is actually coming from the engine, so it's not really your primary that's generating heat, although it does a little bit, of course, because of the oil is sloshing around. It's actually all coming from the engine, and that's just heat transference coming through. There's another thing here about primary oil or primary fluid level that you might want to consider. If you overfill it, then you might have clutch engagement issues as well. So you've got to get the fluid level just right. And also there's another thing about hard clutch engagement. If sometimes on a cold start, or on a lot of time on a cold start, when you go to put in first gear and you get that heavy clunk of first gear engagement, the reason is because there isn't any fluid that's kind of being picked up by the clutch as well. So you've got quite a dry clutch. That's why you get that heavy clunk basically. So sometimes if it's too dry, you'll get that heavy clunk, and then afterwards the gear changes are usually a lot better. If you've got too much fluid in there, then that's going to interfere with your clutch engagement, disengagement, the way the plates work as well. So there's a fine balance here, and that's what you need to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is basically take off the clutch cover inspection plate here, star pattern of bolts or screws. Just undo that. You need a T25 Torx head to get rid of that. You've got a new gasket for it as well. Ordinarily I wouldn't say you need to change the gasket on one of these. I would just go by on inspection, but do you know what, it's 15,000 miles now. I would change it now, so that's what I'm going to do. Now, when you're draining the fluid, what you're really looking for is obviously the quality of the fluid. Are there any contaminants? What's on the mag plug itself? Is there any lots of debris? Because you're going to be picking up debris anyway from the clutch plates as well, from the chain, from general wear and tear as well, but also from the compensator at the front as well. So you might get little bits and pieces in there, but obviously if it's not too much, that's what you want to consider. If you're unsure, take a photo of the drain plug, then take it to a dealership, let's say, and let them have a look at it and see, do you think that's too much or too little, or another mechanic, let's say. But you're not only checking the quality of the oil that's coming out, but also if it's contaminated, and also that drain plug as well. Right, let's get on with it, shall we? Okay, derby cover off, take that gasket out. Actually, that seems to be quite dry for me, but you always want to put a bit of oil on this when you're replacing it. Right, okay, let's check that level. Probably not a very good picture there, but actually that is quite low. What you might want to do is stick a rod in there or something like that and just see what the level is, and then when you actually come to put in the right amount, just check that level and see if it's exactly the same or if it's more. Right, good old chopsticks. So as you can see, there's not a lot in there. Now this could be due to a lot of things. It could be due to a bit of oil transference as well, there as well. But do you know what? What you need to do is just drain it out now, and then have a look at the oil, and then put in the correct amount. Right, let me do that. 5/8 socket. Okay, so what you're looking for is the O-ring. Well, obviously that needs to be replaced. I mean, mine's actually broken there. And then you're looking for the debris that's on there. You're going to have a bit of sludge anyway, but do you know what? It's not bad. It's just residue on mine. It's nothing contaminated as well. I mean, these are just magnetic plugs as well, so all they do is capture any metal debris. There isn't anything big and chunky. You can feel it. It's just sludge. That's all it is. The oil actually looks quite dark as well, so it's had a good workout, I would say. It kind of makes you wonder, when it actually went in for its last service, did they actually change the oils? You know what I mean? I mean, it's sometimes deceiving. You do an engine oil and it comes out really black. You do a primary oil or a transmission oil and it comes out quite dark. You know, there is always wear on the engine anyway, so you've got to accept some discoloration after a 5,000 mile interval. It could be that there's some early degradation there as well, but you could actually increase the frequency of your oil changes and see if you're getting that same colour degradation as well. But I would say that's perfectly normal. Right, clean this up, new O-ring on it. New O-ring, on it goes. There we go. Now what I would always do is crack open your oil bottle there, just poke your finger in there and just lube up the O-ring as well, just to get it a little bit moist. Right, done. That is ready to go back in. Lovely. Okay, so basically once the oil is finished draining out of there, you just put this back in and retorque it to 19 to 28.5 Newton meters or 14 to 21 foot-pounds of torque. Your choice really. Let's see if that drains out a little bit more. Okay, so when you're putting the oil in, you're really looking for this oil level to come up to just below that pressure plate there, or just at the bottom edge of that pressure plate. I'll show you now. And basically right there, right about there, that's what you're looking for, just at the bottom there. Also a good opportunity to give the whole area a good little clean. Now obviously at this point, if you see anything really abnormal in the oil or on the magnetic plug, drain plug as well, then obviously you might want to get it inspected. If you're hearing really abnormal sounds or grinding sounds from there as well, again, get it inspected. So when you're doing a primary oil change, you've basically got two ways of doing it. There is a dry fill or a wet fill. A dry fill only really applies when you've had to take the case cover off to do some work on your chain, your compensator, replace a clutch, whatever it is. So you don't really need to consider that. But if you did, then the figure would be 40 ounces or 1.18 litres. However, for a standard change as I'm doing here, all you're looking for is to refill it to 36 ounces or 1.06 litres. Right, time to put that drain plug back in. Give it a little wipe underneath as well. Now I've only set my torque to 21. I always go to the lower figures first of all and then work my way up over the years. But as I say, it's entirely up to you. As long as you're within that range, I would always start low for myself. Anyway, let's get to it. Done. Right, now to fill up the primary fluid. Let's do that. So in this bottle here, it's 1 litre, so pretty much you could put the whole lot in. But again, check those levels as you're doing it. Right, let me do that. Now some people use a funnel for this, but I'd say you can free pour it in and just go gently as you do it. Right. Okay, that is done. It is a bit of a slow process, but go gently and you'll be fine. Let me just check that level. Right, there we go. So it's just really at the same level or just a little bit higher than it was before. And I can see it's just sitting below the edge of the pressure plate there. Now, this is why you get two bottles as well, because you're going to do the transmission as well. You might want to add just that extra little bit because it's just over a litre, okay? And also you've got to account for any residual oil that's left in the bottle as well. So you're just topping up just a little bit more. Bear in mind, in the transmission, less goes in than a litre, but that's another video. Okay, nice fresh oil in there. Perfect. Right, so I can see now that is at the bottom of the pressure plate. So all I need to do now is put the gasket back on and, well, tighten everything back up. So, job done. Right, let me button this up. New gasket, bit of oil on it. There you go, get it nice and oily, and then put it back in the groove. There we go, make sure it's seated properly, make sure it's in the groove properly, and then just tidy up a little bit and then put the cover back on. Give your derby cover a bit of a wipe down as well, making sure there's no debris on it. Okay, so all I have to do now is torque the screws down on the derby cover. Job done. 2.8 to 3.9 Newton meters or 25 to 35 inch-pounds. It's hardly anything at all. Right, let me do that. So you could throw this away right now, but actually I would pour my old primary fluid back in here and then discard it as a bottle, or take it to your recycling centre or wherever you're going to take it to. Right, that's it. That's your primary oil change. So get the bike warmed up, drain it out, check the oil, check the drain plug, then refill it. You don't need any special tools per se. Just get the bike on the level, on a block of wood. You will need a torque wrench. I would suggest getting a new gasket, especially if you haven't had a gasket on the derby cover gasket, that is, the clutch inspection cover gasket. If you haven't changed it in many miles, let's say, then I would definitely change it. If it's a 5,000 mile interval, personally I wouldn't necessarily change it unless it's leaking, of course. Also get a new O-ring for your drain plug as well. They're a matter of pence really. It's a very small figure and you're future proofing, and every drain plug that I always take off, they always seem to be squashed and not in good condition. I have seen videos where people are taking them off and they seem to be in pristine condition. Yeah, I've not seen many that way anyway, so I would just get a new one anyway. Right, but that's it. Fill it up to the right level, and you know what, it doesn't hurt to periodically just check the level and see what it is, and make sure you got the bike on the level, make sure you've heated it up, and you know you've got an accurate level reading there. But say, just don't overfill it or you might have clutch engagement issues as well. And that hard clutch engagement is usually, for the first gear, is usually because you've got a dry clutch. If you've let the bike warm up a little bit, sometimes actually that eases that as well. But there's also other factors involved. Okay, hope you found that useful. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, like and share, and check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. And I'll catch you again. Ta-da!